Hi, today I have good and bad news for you. The bad news is, this is the last video of the Octopus Day. I know, I'm sad as well, but everything needs to come to an end and we need to wrap this file up, close it to a PST, PSB, TIFF, whatever, and we need to send that to the client. We need to finish it up. And there's a very special thing when you need to wrap it up a file, and it's kind of like when you're finishing up a task and everything comes to your head and you have now special powers to do many things that you didn't see before. That's the thrill of closing a file. And this is 7 awesome tricks. And this is 7 awesome tricks. And one of the first tricks that I can think of is vignetting. Vignetting is a natural effect that happens in camera, and it can definitely help your image to get that wall effect that clients love it. And sometimes you even need to control it because it could get overdone, but vignetting helps you to guide where you want the viewer to look. If I want you to look just at my face, I could get a nice vignetting around everything, and straight away you're gonna look at my face more than you did before, because now there's not so many elements around for you to get distracted. There are many ways to do vignetting, and one way that I like that is really stupid is just going gradient and go radio, reverse, jitter. Don't ask me why, it gets less taps, I guess. The angle, you can go 0 because we're working with a horizontal image, and then play with the scale. You could go 150, and you can also play with the slider over here and get a closer range between blacks and whites. Then hit OK. Now the next trick is duplicating this layer, and I'm gonna apply this one as soft light and the bottom one as multiply. The multiply one will be the strongest one, and the soft light one will be softer, of course, and also 300 for scale. And the soft light's gonna spread a little more than the multiply, so I'm gonna put this as 50. Gonna go back with my whites and get this guy as 100. Just the soft light gets a nice contrast around everything, and with a multiply you can control how strong the edges are gonna be. So we can adjust this multiply to 175 or 200, and my soft light's just fine. And last but not less important is playing with the opacity, because when you play with the opacity you can control how strong each one is gonna be. So with my soft light I could go something around 50, and with my multiply 75, or you know. And finally we can focus the attention to the octopus, which is the main idea of our image. Depth of field is another great trick. We do it all the time in images or videos. It happens when you want to get that 50 mil effect, when you have things out of focus in the foreground and things out of focus in the background, so you can definitely guide the viewer's eyes to where you want them to look. Just like vignetting is another trick to guide the vision and tell the viewer, look at this. So the depth of field could be really simple just by making all your layers invisible, and you can Command A to select everything, Command Shift C to copy the whole information, Command V, and you can right click on the layer, convert to smart object, and now I can go filter, blur gallery, and tilt shift. And because I have a smart filter, this filter is gonna be in a layer. Okay, cool. So this is the tilt shift. You can play with the size, with the light bokeh, and also the bokeh color, which is the color of your bokeh. You could also play with the light range, pretty self-explanatory, and just adjust the size that you want. And you can also play with the rotation of your tilt shift, if that even makes sense. And we could also click and drag to drag the center point of the tilt shift, and you're gonna see a straight line. That's where the tilt shift starts, and the dashed line is where the tilt ends. And finally you can use the gradient to reveal what you want. High pass is a really nice trick. It got overdone during 5 years ago because everyone was doing too much, and it got all that silver look to every image you could look in the internet, and that's not nice anymore. It definitely got old-fashioned, but still, high pass is a nice trick for you to get that fine detail looking even sharper. And also you can use a second layer of high pass and get more shape to your elements and layers, your model, whatever you have in the scene. Just be careful to not overdo it and look like an old-fashioned image. For you to get a smart high pass, you could select the whole image, Command Shift C to copy the whole information, Command V to paste. And you can right click, go convert to smart object, call it high pass, change the blend mode to overlay. Don't worry if it looks funny. Go filter, other, and high pass. For the small high pass, you could go 2, 5 tops. You don't want it to get too exaggerated. I would say go 2 or 1. Now I want to duplicate this high pass, and I'm gonna call it whatever, high pass 2 or big high pass. And you can double click the layer to activate the high pass filter. And now I want to really exaggerate and go maybe 100. 50 is cool. And with this guy, I need to be careful to not exaggerate it, so I'm gonna go 25 with the fill. It makes a little difference when you're playing with overlay instead of opacity. Maybe 50, 25 or 50 should be fine. And when you look from afar, you can see that everything pops a little more. If I go 50, you can see even better. Let's say 40, 25. And if you want to change the content of the smart object, just do the whole process again. Command A, Command Shift C, and you can double click the smart object and paste it again. And that's gonna replace when you close and save your file. And this is what I call the smart high pass. Everything you have in your image needs to have the same noise amount. Giving a final layer of noise, it helps to unify the noise levels in the whole image. So if all your objects and layers have the same amount of noise, and then you apply a noise on top of everything, it definitely helps to glue it all together and make the whole image look like one shot, and it helps to disguise all those little Easter eggs you have here and there. To do noise is very simple. You only need to go to your layer adjustments and create a solid color, and you're gonna use 50% gray, and you're gonna right click and convert it to a smart object. Next in line, you're gonna convert it the blend mode to overlay, and any layer with 50% gray applied in overlay, it actually gets invisible, and you're gonna need that to apply filter, noise, add noise. And then you can play with the amount you want. You could go pretty high with it and also give it a little blur just to not be so sharp. Now bloom is a beautiful effect. We love it. We do it all the time. I think I've done it in every image I did in some percentage, because bloom gives a nice soft feel to your image. Everything looks more dreamy. It's almost like if you have a little smoke in the air, so your light spreads a little bit more from the highlights. It's highly recommended. And this is the bloom effect. It's that nice little spread of the highlights you can get on top of your image. Just same old, select everything, copy the whole information and paste it. Call it bloom. Right click and convert to a smart object. Double click to get in the smart object, and what you're gonna need to do is getting a curve, making everything very dark but not the highlights. We want those highlights to shine, and also take the saturation down a bit so you can control the color of your bloom and not get it too colorful. Hit save and close the file, and that's gonna update on your current file. And what you need to do next is go filter and go any Gaussian blur should be fine. I'm gonna go 100 with this. I'm gonna go noise, add some noise to my blur just to make sure we don't get any steps on the way, and any 2, 1, 2, 3 should be fine. Now this is how our bloom looks like. Remember to convert it to screen because you only want the highlights in, and that's all you need. And I could also duplicate my layer with the same smart filters and just adjust my Gaussian blur to 20 instead of 100. And this is gonna be my small bloom. I love this bloom effect. Now particles is a funny one because as a photographer we always cleaning the lens so we don't get any dust, anything to mess up with the shot. But actually getting that effect into your image and getting a nice bokeh effect so you have big particles out of focus in front of your lens, and also little sharper particles in the background so you get that feeling that there is some particles closer to the source of light so they shine a little bit. It gives a nice sense of sharp to your image, a little bit more dreamy as well, and it helps with the sense of depth of your image. It feels like you can dive in the image and feel all of the different layers you can get. We do that in images and videos, so go to town with the particles. And if you don't have a nice camera to shoot your particles out of focus and get that nice bokeh effect, Don't worry, I'm gonna be supplying that to you, 3 nice 100 megapixels raw shots, so you can play the particles everywhere you want it, and put particles in all your images, all your family shots, and it's definitely gonna help out to get a better sense of depth in your image and go to town with the particles. Have fun with it. And finally, my top grading. My top grading is the folder where I gather all the layer adjustments that I have on top of everything, so it's gonna affect the whole file. Be careful with that. It could be a photo filter, curve, vignetting, bloom. You can put everything inside the top grading folder and have those final touches when the client asks you to have a little less blue in the water. Hi, it's me again. Whatever. Less saturated, more vibrant, less vibrant. And inside my top grading, you will see I have a bunch of curves just to give a final touch of blue, give the final sense that this whole image is underwater. And I hope you enjoyed the image. I hope you liked the final result, and if you didn't, it's fine, because we're gonna supply to you the final file so you can adjust the layers and make your own version. We're gonna love to see that, and you're gonna also have access to the 32-bit file as well as this file you're seeing right now, and they are gonna be available at the UNHIDE website. That's how nice we are being to you. I hope you enjoyed the Octopus data image, and this is definitely not the end. I'll be back. Stay tuned on Facebook, Instagram, the UNHIDE website, because in the next videos I'm gonna be retouching Raphael's werewolf into a real photographic scene, and also I'm gonna be doing some matte paintings with dinosaurs. So shit's hitting the fan.